Welcome to Moms in the Wild with Kate
and Cara,
where we laugh at our wild moments to make you feel better about yours. Hello, hello. Welcome back. Let's start with our wild mom moments of the week.
So again, I don't have one necessarily of the week, so I'm going to do a little lie and tell one about when my baby was, she's probably 2 months old, and we had to get out of the house.
Yeah.
It was the point, like, my mom had just left. She was helping to take, not just left, but she had left like 2 weeks prior. My partner, Chris, was back at work full time, and I was like, I have to go somewhere.
Yes.
So naturally, Target was numero uno on the list.
Nate's first outing was Target.
Oh, yeah. You just have to go where your heart leads you, and my heart said Target. So we go, first outing by myself, and first outing really for her that wasn't a doctor's appointment that I can remember. I don't remember taking her to anything else aside from a doctor's appointment until that point. We'll talk about this a little later in this episode, but my child still does not like the car and deeply hated the car then.
Right.
So we already knew the 5-minute drive to Target is going to be pure hell, but potentially will go when we get there. She actually does really well in the car. We get to Target. I'm getting her out. Pop the car seat in the stroller and just fully melting down.
Yep.
And if you're a new mom in the world and it's your first child, even if people don't care, and as many people as are like, don't worry about how other people look at you, what other people think, you are uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to speak for you. I'm going to say I was uncomfortable. I was uncomfortable screaming baby. I could tell she was uncomfortable, didn't love the feeling. I'm like, oh shit, all right. Get everything back into the car, nurse her a little bit in the front. She's doing okay. Put her in the car seat and she falls asleep.
Of course.
So I'm like, excellent. Open the trunk, get the stroller back out, pop the car seat. If anyone's watching it, they absolutely like, what? She abducted this child. There's no way anyone was thinking this is a normal interaction for someone to be having with their newborn baby. It looked insane. It was insane. But again, we just had to get out of the house. And we walked around Target with her in her car seat that popped in the stroller and a muslin over the car seat so she would hopefully stay asleep, which she did. And then I just got too nervous to buy anything. So I grabbed 3 items of I don't know what and then reshelved all of them and then left and just stuck her in the car. And then she fell asleep. And it was such an accomplishment.
Successful.
It was, to me, super win.
Yeah. Sometimes all you need to do is just prove to yourself that you can do it.
That you did it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I cried when she cried and had the meltdown. Then once I nursed her and she fell asleep, I was like, oh no, we can totally do the Target thing. And we did it. And I felt like a baller.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, that's my wild mom moment
of
8 months ago. Still resonates. Can still feel it in my blood.
That stuff sticks with you.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
It does and it will. I just put so much pressure on myself during the first couple months of birth that she needed to be out and about and going out in public. And if we put her in the car seat more, it would help her get more used to it.
Right.
Fucking doesn't. If your kid doesn't like the car seat, your kid just might not like the car in the car seat, and that's totally fine. So I remember texting a picture of you, I took her to Disney Springs when she was 2 months old, and you were like, okay, wow, you did it, which is just an insane thing to do by yourself. Don't know why. But I put going back, I just wish I had, waited till I felt more comfortable.
Yeah.
I just really, really pushed myself to be like, she needs stimulation. She doesn't. She's new to the world. Everything is second of her life is stimulation. You don't need to find it or seek it out. She is stimulated.
100%.
100. Yeah. She didn't need Disney Springs. She didn't need Target either. Target was for me. But any other place I took her after that, it was just, so I was like, oh, she has to get out of the house. Really?
Right.
Because she's been in the world for 2 months, so she doesn't need to be outside of her surroundings.
It's so interesting because when we had our Bubba, he was a month old and then the world shut down with COVID.
Yes.
So we didn't get to go anywhere.
No.
So, yeah.
You probably felt like you were going a little bit crazy, though.
Yeah, but it was like we didn't know anything different.
That's true.
It'll be interesting when we have our next kid to know, like, what is that like now that I have another child who needs to go out and be stimulated.
Yeah. Someone told me that has multiples have said you're not as, comfy cozy with the seconds because your first has stuff they need to do.
Right.
And you have stuff you need to do for the first. Like, that baby is not just having formula. Usually anymore. And so, you got to go out and get the kid food and also take them out to activities or whatever it is that they're doing. And so the second kind of just has to, deal, for lack of a better term. And also, you become more acclimated with that. Mom was like, you just had to do whatever your brother was doing because he was first in line, bro. Sorry. Right. So I can't even picture it, though. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can't, because of this, the way my heart felt when that baby would just scream in the car and be upset, I can't picture being like, well, we have to do it. I know that will happen, but I just can't even imagine doing it.
We'll figure it out, though.
Yeah. What was your wild mom moment of the week?
So, we have been going to library group.
Oh, love the library groups.
If you are not taking advantage of your local library, you should check it out, because almost all of the libraries I've ever seen, and that includes other states, do a toddler group.
Yeah.
Or a baby group.
I got girl in a baby group, and it's excellent.
Yes. So we've been going to toddler time at the library for probably, I would say, a year now. And, you know, Bubba's always really hesitant. He, like, will sing some songs and dance sometimes. Because there's a lot of singing and dancing because they're just small. But this week, he was a singing and dancing machine. Aww. He sang and danced to every single song. He had a friend who he sat next to. They danced in a circle with another little girl and just spun, and it was the cutest. It made me feel very proud. It was one of those moments where I like looked around the room, and normally in those situations I'm kind of looking around the room and seeing like a kid who just has it together and being like, oh man, one day we'll be like that. And we were that kid. Yeah. It was so cool.
The other people looking at you like, oh, one day my kid's gonna do that. That's gonna be great. Yeah. And your kid was the one doing it.
It was great.
That's so fun.
It made me feel like super, and I wasn't doing anything. But it made me feel super accomplished, super proud of him. Obviously, I'm proud of him if he just sits there and listens the whole time, you know. But it was just a little extra icing on the cake to watch him just interact, be so excited. Yeah.
I love watching kids do kid stuff. It's so enjoyable. Yes. To be like, look at you go. I also just love the different kid that you get. Yeah. Right? We bring the baby to gymnastics. She's a baby. I recognize that gymnastics is, God only knows what it means, but we do bring her to gymnastics. And she's like off my lap. I'm not an entity to her at gymnastics. But then if we go and we're around family and there's a lot of focus or attention on her, she's very clingy to Chris and I. Yeah. So it's so funny to see that baby that just, as soon as I put her on the ground, crawls away from me and makes friends with other moms and other babies and is doing whatever. And then, you know, in the next environment, she's like, oh, no, we gotta, too much attention. I gotta cling.
I need my mom.
I need a parent.
That feels good though, too, when they do that. So shall we get into today's episode?
What are we talking about today?
Today we are titling this episode, Shit I Said.
Shit I Said. Ooh.
So basically this is just going to be a kind of rapid fire of the shit that we said we were and weren't going to do before we became parents.
I was so ignorant.
Oh, I was too.
Judgmental. Just the worst before I became a parent. Start us off. What was some shit you said?
Probably the biggest thing that I said was I was going to limit screen time. Guess whose baby was addicted to the musical Hamilton by like 6 months old? Mine.
Oh, same. I can never, ever listen to Hamilton. No. Ever again.
I know.
I have Stockholm Syndrome with Will Monroe. Nope.
Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Lin-Manuel Miranda. Thank you. Who was I saying? Will Valmoran? Not a person. Not a person. Oh. Nope, that's not right. But yeah, no, I will never be able to listen to it or watch it again.
Yes, so when he was born, Hamilton got released on Disney Plus very shortly after because it was a COVID thing, right? Yeah. So it was like, we're doing this because it's COVID, everyone's in their house. So I believe we got Disney Plus so we could watch it because I'd wanted to see it and we just couldn't. So when we turned that on, that kid was probably like 4 months old. And he was enthralled.
Mesmerized.
And I looked at my husband and I was like, I think we're onto something here. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, he loved it. He would not... I mean, anytime he was fussy, we'd turn it on. We'd listen to the show. He loved the lights. He loved watching the movement. He loved the music. So basically, by the time he was like 8 months old, we were watching it at least once a day, and we did not watch anything else until he was like 1.5. I haven't seen Hamilton the musical at least 500 times.
Oh, easy.
In its entirety. Mm-hmm. But you had the same experience.
Oh yeah, where it was what she would watch to go to sleep, and we discovered this. I don't know how. I will say, if you are a parent or not a parent and want to become a parent, whatever your situation is, even if you're like an aunt or an uncle, if you just have kids in your life, be so careful what you show them. Yes. Because they may fucking love it. So her big thing, again, we were like, no screens. She's, I think, just too young where she doesn't engage a lot in the screen thing. She's not like super interested. But let me tell you what her hotspots are. Hamilton, but only Act 1. That will kill you.
I don't blame her.
Kill you slowly.
I think Act 1's the best act.
It is, but not. I like to watch it all the way through. It's not fair. I only have to see Act 1 always, ever. And if she wakes up, because she would fall asleep to it, if she wakes up and Act 2 is on, you're screwed. The other thing that we just, like, real dum-dums, I don't know what we were doing one night. We showed her What Does the Fox Say?
Oh,
Circa,
no.
What was that, 2012?
Yeah.
What does the fox say? Ring, ding, 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 ding. The only thing that will get her to stop rage screaming in the car, what does the fox say?
Oh, no.
Yeah. It's a rough...
What's worse?
45-minute drive. I will tell you.
What is worse, the screaming or the what does the fox say?
Oh, no. I have no idea. If I didn't feel like the screaming was torturing her, then I would listen to the screaming. Like, if she was just screaming like, yeah, then I'd be like, all right, we can deal. What does the fox say? The song is only 5 minutes long.
Yeah.
So for 45 minutes, we were driving, honestly, in the last 15 minutes of our ride, that's the only thing that we could do. And it was like so close to the last 15 minutes. But by the fourth, this is unfortunately my mother-in-law, sweet, sweet mother-in-law was in the back with her, like playing What Does the Fox Say on a loop over and over and over again. Because she also needs to see the video. She can't just listen to it. She has to watch the insane, if you haven't watched it, look up What Does the Fox Say music video. It's fucking crazy. So she's holding this tiny screen and playing it again. And I was just like, I'm going to have to pull over. I can't do it. I was unwell. So just be careful what you say. And don't feel bad. If you said no screen time, you do screen time. It is what it is.
And I will
know
say,
what the day takes.
My hot take about screen time is we got Bubba a tablet when he was almost 2. And I will say to you, in front of God and everyone who's listening,
it was a great choice.
That tablet was the greatest invention ever made.
I'm sure in situations like the car or on an airplane.
Yes.
Yeah.
And honestly, he learns a lot from it. He learned stuff that I am like, where did this come from? It saves us so many times. And he's not on it like all day, every day. And he's not watching TV all day, every day. But, he learns a lot.
Yeah.
If we need a break, it is available. If I need a break, we have options.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think before I was like, if I saw parents at dinner and their kids were like on their tablets, I was like, oh, what the heck? Their kids can even eat dinner? And now I'm like, what an idiot.
You just pat them on the back or you salute them as you walk by.
Because
that was a wise choice.
I refuse to take him anywhere where we cannot have his tablet.
Yeah.
If it's not fully charged, we're not going.
I also, it's kid to kid as well, right? So, like, if your kid is totally fine doing, like, a fun little puzzle, do you know what I mean? Like, that entertains them, that occupies them. It means that everyone can get through a meal, all of you together. I think that's great and excellent and awesome. But I think you should go to whatever means. I'm sure if my parents had a little tiny screen, they could have carried around and given me. They absolutely would have. I don't care what they say.
Yes.
Instead, they were just binge feeding me M&Ms. Like, the M&Ms were my tablet. Okay, so no, you can't tell me that you won't all means possible to make it through one dinner. Especially, when you see those parents, they're on vacation.
Yeah,
they've had a day. Let them have it.
Yes,
which is kind of my catchphrase. Is it's all they have.
Yeah. So what was something you said?
What is something I said? Well, I think that, like, we could talk about the no sugar thing. Because you and I are at 2 different kiddo points. So our pediatrician said if we can to avoid added sugar until the baby's about 2 years old. And also, like, when we were reading up about baby-led weaning and stuff. So we are actively choosing to not give her foods with added sugar until she's 2. Which is super, she just started eating solid foods. So I'm bringing up the no sugar thing because I think that is something that I still say. I don't know how that will play out.
Right.
In, toddlerhood and until she's the age of 2. But we are trying to do that.
Yes.
We're not like, I think before she was born, I was just like, whatever makes her happy and works. So I guess the no sugar, I was like a pro sugar. I don't know how I'd classify myself. I just didn't really think of it. And now I'm more of the, I'm going to monitor sugar a little more.
Yeah.
I'd like your take on like the no sugar thing because I don't have a kid who can tell me what she wants to eat. She's just learning kind of to eat and food and stuff. So
we are pro sugar. If you can get...
Did you go in with the mindset of no sugar, though? Were you like, we're not going to have sugar? No. Was that like a shit you said? Or,
no.
Okay.
I think I did think that I would monitor more. And I always said, like, I'm not going to have a picky eater. Like, I'm not going to let that happen. Mm-hmm. Kind of on the same vein as sugar. And I 1000% have a picky eater right now. And I do think it's just the stage that we're in.
100%.
Where we eat the same 5 foods all the time. But no, we use sugar. And I don't know if it was something, like I said, I don't think it was something I was like a hard and fast on. I definitely didn't think probably he'd have as much as he does.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, this is something we say to each other all the time. It's like survive, not thrive right now. And if we go to a grocery store, the only way I get things done is if he has like a dum-dum lollipop. And like, I just have to use it because I'm home all day with him. There have to be like some things where like there's give and take. And unfortunately, sugar is one of them. Not unfortunately even, but that's just one of the things where we have a dum-dum at the store. You know, we're potty training right now. So he does get a sweet treat for pooping on the potty.
Good for him. I want a sweet treat when I poop on the potty.
So it is what it is.
Yeah. I'm interested to see like how that continues with Chris and I, you know, because the way that I view it now, but she also can't, she's a baby. She's a very small baby, you know, so she reaches for everything. So I'm not like giving her a glass of wine or a beer or, you know, a cup of coffee when she reaches for it. And so we've been trying to kind of treat sugary things the same way, where if she's reaching for anything and I'm eating it, typically she gets a bite of it. But with the things that have added sugar, we're like, no, you can't have that. And
I will say we probably started when he was like 1.5 and we were trying to like, those sugar becomes a part of like activities. So Christmas, if you're decorating sugar cookies, like of course he's gonna get to eat the icing and
eat a cookie that he's decorated.
Because
that would be fucked up to be like, no, you can't have it now. That's a mess. Don't do that.
So I think like his first time trick-or-treating, he got to try a little piece of candy, which he was over. He was a year and he was almost 2. So I feel like it feels very different the way we are right now, but looking back on it, he was not like 8.5 months old or 10.5 months old eating like fistfuls of sugar.
Absolutely.
So we introduced it slowly and now it's just part of our life, and we're like super strict about other things, but sugar's we let it happen.
I think like you said, it's give and take. So, you know, if there's something you need to do, and also I feel like things become more enticing when they're demonized, kind of, you know what I mean? So if you're like, never the sugar, you can't have any sugary things, I do think there's no research, I'm just saying this as a complete opinion, I do think kids gravitate toward those things. When they're real little, like baby age, you know, like she is, it's easier to say no because she reaches for everything. Right. I think once you're, you know, cusping on the age of 2 and 3, the more you're like, no sugar, they're like, well, no, I need.
Yeah, and it's great to have treats. Like, at this age, I found, and this is, you know, people aren't going to like this, but I love a bribing mechanism. Like, for a while, we were going to the doctor, and he, like, every doctor's visit, he refused. He did everything else. Shots, fine. Ears, fine. Throat, fine. Getting on the scale,
wouldn't do it.
He refused. He would have a full-on breakdown in front of the whole office. Until I started whispering in his ear, if you get on the scale and look at your number, you get a lollipop.
And he was like, cool.
And he was like, great.
I'm into it.
Let's do it. What's my number?
He said, get me on the scale. I'll do it 3 times, Ma.
So
I get 3 pops for this.
Those are the moments where I'm like, okay, I'm glad I have this.
Yeah.
Tiny bargaining.
You have a little bribery. Even with the whole eating thing, too, like, Chris and I were totally geared up to do purees and just follow that trajectory or whatever that looks like, and then we just didn't because it was so much easier for us. You know, like, a shit I said was, we're going to make purees for our baby, and then we didn't do that. We just gave her solid food because it was 5,000 times easier to just give her what we were cooking than it was for me to be like, I'm going to make this into a puree, which I wasn't going to do. But I had no idea how time consuming just being a parent is until I was in it. And so making a separate food for her sounded like a nightmare, an absolute nightmare. And so that did not work for us. Even though we had like puree cookbooks, we had the little vessels to put the purees in. We had like bought a new food processor. We were very prepped for the food puree stage, and then it just didn't happen because there's no time. Hats off to the people out there making purees for their kids.
That's what I was just about to say.
It takes to get an apple soft, and then you know what your kid's gonna do? Throw that soft mushy apple across the room. Yeah. That's 3 hours of your life down the drain, so that they can have sensory time playing with it. No, you're gonna eat that. You're gonna eat the apple that mommy pureed for you.
That's what I was just about to say. Like, before we say anything else, I am under no illusion that the way I do anything is even remotely correct.
Oh, same.
So
every day I make it up as I go along.
If you are like with us on these things or like doing the complete opposite or doing your own mix, like good on you. This is Moms in the Wild. We literally, as long as your kid is like safe,
yep,
we literally don't care.
Safe is in quotes.
Yes.
It's different for everyone. Yeah, no, you're trying your best most of the time. Excellent for you. And also, you know, people that have successfully, if you successfully done no sugar because that's what your heart told you and your head and it works for your kid, do it. If you've successfully done no screens, that's something you told yourself before you even have a kid and you've done it, nailing it. Yeah. Great for you. No judgment if these are your callings and what you've done. I love you for it.
Yeah.
But this is what we did say and thought what life was going to be like, and it's not.
Right. So speaking of another one, I definitely said that we were going to sleep train.
Oh. I had the books, Kate. I had the things. I also said that. Did you say this pre-baby and after baby's arrival? I lied to myself about this one for about 5 months before I gave it up. Before I gave up the lie that I was going to do it.
Yes. I think it was pre-baby and then I think probably like 3 months in when it was time. Like 3 months, I think I remember them saying like, okay, now is the time to start.
Yeah.
I was like, nope, can't do it.
Couldn't. I was so sad. I know so many people that have successfully done sleep training.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those. I'm not one of them.
No. What happened for us is because, you know, we were locked down.
Yeah.
We didn't have to have a schedule. We didn't have to go anywhere. And that kind of played into, you know, just, well, we don't have to go anywhere. And I was supposed to go back to work. That was the plan. Mm-hmm. And then COVID happened and everything changed. So I think it had been it would have been different if the world hadn't have shut down and I did end up going back to work. I think it would have been essential that we had sleep trained, but it just kind of played into it. And also we got very lucky that from 3 to 4 months, he just slept through the night.
You lucky ducky.
And he stopped at 4 months until 8 months. Yeah. But like
he was sleeping.
Yeah. So we were just like, okay. And then I tried it. I think I tried sleep training, like doing the cry it out method, like 2 nights.
The Ferber method.
And I was like, nope, I'm out. Done.
No. So Chris and I I can't even say tried. We theorized and talked deeply about sleep training and did all the research. And then when she arrived, I kept being like, it's not the right time. It's not the right time. Till honestly, we were about 6 months in before Chris was like, you have to stop pretending like we're going to sleep train the baby because it's clearly not going to happen. Yeah. I told myself forever that sleep training was going to happen.
Yeah.
And I was like, we tried the no cry method, but we didn't. We, for one night, picked her up, put her down, picked her up, put her down, picked her up, put her down until it was probably 6:30 in the morning. And I was like, who is this for? I just had to ask myself the question, who is this for? It's certainly not for her. She's not sleeping. It's not for me because I'm not sleeping. And then that was kind of the end of it.
Yeah.
But I did tell myself, I told myself, and I believed it. I definitely believed it I'm going to say at least, seriously, for 5 months, I believed I was going to sleep train that child.
Yeah.
Until the pediatrician at the 6-month visit was like, maybe give up that dream. If it's not happening, just do something else.
Yeah.
And we were the same, you know, we knew we had help from our in-laws. I had made the decision to work remotely part of the week and then, you know, transition to part-time. So we also didn't have like a very tight, have to be up at this time, have to be sleeping at this time.
Right.
I'm a super introvert and homebody, so if I have to hold her at night starting at like 8 or 9 p.m., I'm actually cool with that.
Yeah.
So it's not, you know, it was never like a very strict schedule. I think sleep training too is definitely helpful if you're working. You have a start and end time to your day, a hard start and end time, and
yeah, or like people who just thrive on structure, right?
Yeah,
I think when they're that little, doing something that helps you is really, really great. Yeah. And if you can, and you find a way that works for you and your baby, like super, you know, like that's all we can really do and all we should want to do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really just doing whatever you feel comfortable with and what works for you.
Yeah.
And so many people talk to me about sleep training. I loved when people used to say, this is what I did and this is what works for me. Like my sister-in-law is one who's like, this is what we did, this is what worked for our baby, and this is what worked for me, and this is when we started it. And it was, you know, I love that. Whereas people I worked with would be like, you have to do this. Right. You have to try this. You know, no, I don't have to do any of that. And it doesn't work. It's not like a one-size-fits-all. No. All babies are humans, and they're different. So you don't know what's going to work for your baby.
Right.
Which I think is the whole point of this episode. You know, you say all this stuff that you think is going to be great, grand, and successful, and then you have a baby that doesn't want to lay on their back. That's fine.
Yeah.
More power to you, baby. Oh, another one that I was like, this would never, not even judgmentally, I just didn't think, couldn't imagine it, where I was like, I will not co-sleep with my child. My child is 10 months old, has not slept on her own literally ever. This was the key sleeping breaking point for us. She was in the bassinet and swaddled.
Right.
Once the swaddle had to come off, once she was rolling over, it was game over from that point on. So she transitioned from the bassinet and the swaddle swiftly into our bed with us, co-sleeping. Safely co-sleeping. We have set up a safe environment for her in our bed.
Right.
For all you judgery doos out there. I was once a judgery do too. But I never would have imagined that. Like, we had bassinet, we have crib set up. The crib now is a storage bin for all the shit we don't know what to do with. And she has just co-slept with us since the beginnings of time. And now I have such anxiety about her leaving our bed. She's getting to a point where she's definitely big enough. She wants to be in her own space, and it's me that's holding her up. I'm like, aww. But yeah, I never will co-sleep with my child. I can't imagine co-sleeping with a baby. I feel like it would be so annoying, and I love it.
Yeah, we never did the co-sleeping thing.
Yeah.
I mean, when he was little, like an infant, I would sleep in the bed, and I would make David stay up and watch us to make sure he didn't roll over.
Yep.
Or I didn't roll over on him.
Yep.
But yeah, it's great. You have to do what works for you.
Oh, absolutely. I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
And also, what works for you is not what works for someone else, which sounds silly, but also it may not to the outside world seem like it works. Like, she contact naps. Like, she doesn't just co-sleep, she also contact naps. And everyone that I tell that to is like, how do you go about your business?
Right.
What do you do? And I'm like, yeah, when she naps, I just don't do anything. And people's minds are blown. And I'm like, I know that doesn't seem logical, strategic, or like it would work, but it really does work for us, because trying to put her down and pick her up and put her down and pick her up, I spend the same amount of time doing that as I would just sitting down and letting her nap with me for an hour.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The pick down put up is like a 3-hour block of time, and she has now slept for 30 minutes where she can just sleep for an hour on me. And I'm fairly confident that, she's not going to be 15 years old sleeping on me or in my bed.
Yeah.
There's something that tells me that's not going to happen, so I'm cool with it. It's such a short period of time in her life and my life, too. I just keep thinking, like, this might be the last time, and I don't want, I'm excited for when that happens, because that's her independence and she's growing, but at the same time, I'm going to miss it. There's, like, I didn't expect it to even happen this long, so I'm so grateful that I get to spend these, like, tiny, precious moments with her whenever I do, and her grandmas get to do it too.
Yeah.
Like, how beautiful is that? They get this little baby that gets to sleep on them all the time, and how blessed are we that we have mamas that will, hold our baby while she naps. She's like 2 feet long and 25 pounds.
Oh, it's sweet. You're right.
Oh, yeah.
You're right. Like, there is this notion of the last time that we do stuff, and I sent you this thing on Instagram that beautiful. It was this realization that one day you pick your child up and you put them down, and then you never pick them up again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that really, like, kind of turned the gears in my brain, and I just was like, you know what, we do just have, this time is so precious, and my kid wants me to hold him, and he wants to snuggle, and he wants to hold hands when we sit on the couch, and I just, like, he's not going to want to do that one day.
Yeah.
And I just need to, like, sometimes I sit on the couch and watch a whole movie with him. And I'm like, I have, like, laundry to do and dinner to make and dishes to do. And I'm like, no. One day he's not going to want to hold my hand and watch a movie.
Yeah. I had someone ask me when she was 6 months old, I was talking about my co-sleeping situation and contact napping. And when she was 6 months old, they were like, how is she going to learn independence? I just wanted to die and be like, what do you mean? Because again, I don't want her to learn independence at 6 months old. Yeah. I really don't. And if she sees me as a safe place to sleep, I want her to do that for as long as possible. Because you know what? One day she's going to go to school and she's not going to sleep on me. And that's a matter of years away. I don't need her to have that kind of independence right now. When she does, I'm going to let her have it. I'm not, like, trapping her on my body. It's not like she's yearning to sleep laying in a crib and I'm like, no, baby, you sleep with me. I still try to put the baby down. She doesn't want, she's not into it. She's not interested. And I want that. Yeah. I mean, I want to be able to hold her. I love that. I don't need her to learn independence when she's 6 months or 10 months old. Yeah. I also don't think it's a lack of independence that she does that. But it got me all in my head because I was like, oh, so seeing her, like, again, going back to the gymnastics thing, watching her, like, crawl away from me and be independent, I'm like, oh, thank God. But it's because of this random seed that was planted of, like, I'm inhibiting her independence by letting her contact sleep and letting her co-sleep. It's like, no, she just feels safe. When you're asleep, you're very vulnerable, and she just feels safe doing that.
Right. So, I mean, and some of the stuff is like the shit I said, and it could be just of ignorance, or the shit I said because I didn't know that this was something that happened in parenthood, where, like, how you do this thing for so long, and then one day it's just over.
Yeah.
And it's just gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just important to, like, you have to fill your needs while you fill theirs. And if your needs are filled by your kids leaving in their own bed at night, which mine were, then great. If your needs are filled by having that extra time with them in your bed and it's working for everybody, great. You know, if your needs are filled by, like, getting that load of dishes done, because sometimes mine are. Like, sometimes I will leave and be like, no, buddy, I'm so sorry. Mommy has to do this. Or, you know, make that call or whatever. And it's all day by day, minute by minute, hour by hour. But it is never lost on me how lucky I am that I get to spend as much time with them as I have.
Yeah, same. And I also, too, like, I think that people rejuvenate themselves by, like, going to stay. I love when I see parents that, like, switch off going to stay at a hotel.
Oh, yeah.
For a night. Where it's like, yeah, I just need to be able to sleep for, like, you know, 6 to 8 hours straight, and I have a cool partner at home that's willing to, like, support me in that, or I have family that's willing to support me in that, and really having that moment to recharge. So it is truly, you know, whatever works for you and what you're doing in that time that you have for you and your kiddo.
Right.
I love it.
So something else that I said is, I'll say it and then I will explain. But I said that we would have an adaptable schedule. If, you know, we needed to be somewhere during the baby's nap, like, we'll make it work. We'll figure it out. My baby won't need to have this schedule where he's not interrupted. Even, like, now, if something is scheduled during nap time and I am holding on, I'm to nap time by every, like, by the skin of my teeth, we're not doing it. So you have this notion of we want baby to adapt to our lives, right? And I think that you can do that. I think that is achievable, but not for every baby. And, like, some babies, like mine, just was not a happy camper and could not be, like, we couldn't bring him back if he didn't have his nap. You just kind of have to feel it out. But we were also, the world shut down. We didn't have anywhere to go. Yeah. So I never had to, like, flex that muscle.
Adaptable. Yeah.
Until he was, like, a year old. And then we started, like, learning. And I think we are adaptable. And he can not nap if he doesn't need to. But it's very few and far between. He's had, like, 2 days of his life where he didn't nap.
Yeah. I was not adaptable in any way. And I definitely said that before the baby was born. Or I would see other people that were like, oh, can't because the baby's nap schedule. I'd be like, oh, what are you doing? Just bring the baby and let them, like, nap in their stroller. Ignorant. So ignorant. Such an asshole. And so and this is, again, it just works for us. It is the type of parent that I would like to have been honored and have the ability to be, and never expected to want to do this. Everything that I say about being a parent, I'm like, who is this person? Yeah. Who is this person? Where I would do anything to not mess up a nap. Like, I would just do anything. I would let someone paper cut my eyeball if I knew that the baby would peacefully be able to sleep. Yeah. And she's a contact napper. So, like, it's not like she'll fall asleep while holding her, and almost anywhere. However, then I'm left holding her out in, you know, Epcot, strolling my ass around in, you know, 80-degree weather. So I would prefer to, like, be home or in a room or somewhere, like, quiet and private to be able to hold her while she sleeps. And I won't make her adapt to what that is. My, like, not being adaptable, though, has definitely come with meal times. Yes. Because I want her to get really into solids or just food in general and not be distracted. Very concerned about her choking when she's distracted, so I will not move stuff around meal times. Like, if she's supposed to have lunch, then she's going to have lunch, and we're not going to do the thing that was maybe planned for lunchtime by accident. Yeah, I'm not an adaptable schedule person. No. We are more now, you know, that he's more like plug and play. But, you know, I always was kind of in the same vein, sort of, if my kid is throwing a fit, like, we'll just deal and go do it. And that is not the case either. Like, some mornings we have this whole big plan and he is acting a fool and I'm like, no, we're not doing it. Yeah. We can't go. Yeah. But And I would prefer that, because there are some kids that are very adaptable from situation to situation, and I'm not going to say that the baby will not, eventually be like that, or even if she may be like that now and I haven't given, her enough opportunity, I can say that take some fault there as well. But there's some kids that just bounce back. They are cranky, and then you bring them to a different environment and they're killing it and they're stellar, and you can have those super adaptable kiddos and parents that they miss a nap and they're cool. They're good with it. So I think it is that, like, learning who your kiddo is as you get to know them and as they get to know you and they develop their personality, and kind of learning what they can tolerate and take and what they can't. She surprises me a lot of the time. She stayed up for like 5 hours and then went on an airplane and was like doing great.
Right.
But there are other times where it's not a nap time and she has decided it is, and the situation is not great. So
and I will say, I think that he is adaptable. I think that if I were to move him from that situation to a new one, he'd be great. I'd stay at home for my own mental health. If I get to a place where I've been pushed too far and I know, like, I'm not going to be a happy person in this situation and, like, everything's going to stress me out, we just can't do it.
Yeah. Because then I think that then it becomes a cycle between her and I, where if I'm the one that's super stressed out, even if she was going to be adaptable, she reads into that and she's like, okay, time to panic, and vice versa. Like, if I thought she was going to be adaptable or I'm being adaptable and she's having a real shit time, I'm then going to have a real shit time.
Right.
So, like, that communication, that cycle kind of, for us, goes both ways, which I'm working on, where, like, if she's being adaptable, I can learn to be adaptable in those situations. But it's a work in progress. I thought it wasn't until I got pregnant that I was like, the world will end for this baby. Like, the sun rises and falls for this baby, to where I realized I probably wasn't going to have an adaptable schedule like I thought.
Right. And one of the big things that I said is that I was going to practice gentle parenting 100% of the time. Mm-hmm. And while gentle parenting is my goal, I think I've I've said this to you for sure, and I kind of explain it in this way. My goal is gentle parenting. I have a gentle parenting tank, and every morning when I wake up, that tank is full and ready to go. And depending on the events of the day, sometimes we last the whole day on one tank. Sometimes that tank is empty by 10 a.m.
Sometimes it is.
So that's something that's been a little surprising to me, because I was so like, I want to create an emotionally stable and healthy human being.
Yeah.
But he's 2, and he is a freaking terror sometimes. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I didn't get enough sleep, or I'm not feeling well, or it's just been an off day and I lose my shit on him, which I think is normal. But it's one of those things where it's like, oh my God, I could have never imagined. Even when he was like a little teeny tiny baby, I'm like, how could anybody ever yell at a baby? And I look at him now and I'm like, there's a reason they make you this cute.
Yeah.
There's a reason you were so quiet and we loved you so much in the beginning, because you suck.
Because you're wild now.
And that's like few and far between.
Yeah.
But Jesus.
Yeah. I think, like, I definitely said or thought I'd be much more crunchy, like, label parenting. And I'm, like you said, there's a tank. And, like, there's a fiscal thing at play to be, like, a crunchy parent, too.
Right.
And so where and when it makes sense, I will crunch it up. But there are times where, like, I can't do it. I don't have, like, the mental capacity to not be like, have a bite of muffin. Just have a bite of this muffin I'm eating. I don't even know what it's made of.
Eat the puffs.
It's fine. Just eat the puffs. Eat your fucking puffs, man. Do what you have to do. Yeah, and same with the gentle parenting. I also think it's really hard to, and I think this goes back to kind of like that social media overload, where there's a lot of jargon and parenting styles and things that you're doing being thrown at you. I think it's hard to fit a particular prototype, or if you try to do that, you set yourself up for failure a little bit. I know that I've done that, where I feel like, I'm not providing a crunchy enough life. That sounds so stupid. I'm not providing the crunchy life of my baby that I wanted to. But where I don't, I don't always do the crunch it out stuff. I think with a baby, sometimes it's a little bit easier to do the gentle parenting, because you're basically just trying to help them survive. So in toddlerhood, as much as I would like to say I'm going to enter that phase as a gentle parent, I have no idea.
Right.
I have super intense postpartum rage, so I can't imagine I'm going to be a super gentle parent. I'm also not a gentle fucking person. So for me to be like, I am going to be so gentle is disingenuous to just my personality. And I can't fake it. Right. I can't just be a fake person to my child all the time. That would be weird. So I'm going to do my best.
Yeah,
that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, that's all we can do, right? And we can't anticipate. We can anticipate, but we can't know what's next.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of like the moral of this episode is we can sure plan, but it's all going to go a different way than we planned. And even if it doesn't, you're still going to make adjustments. You're still going to kind of like walk some things back, and you're not a failure for doing that. If anything, you're a success. Yeah. Any parent who can pivot and change major decisions in a spur of an instant for their child, for the benefit of your child, whether it's like something you agreed with before or didn't agree with before, that's a win. Mm-hmm. That is a win in my book. Because you're recognizing the needs of that child, you're making the changes that need to happen, and everybody is successful.
Yeah. And to that point, not letting yourself get racked with guilt because you're not doing the things that you thought, or feeling terrible that you judged parents based on these ideas and ideals and now you're not fulfilling that.
Right.
You know, just being really gentle with yourself and taking it one day at a time and being able to do that pivot where and when you need to. So, you know, why stay locked into these myths that we told ourselves or these things we said? Mine were ignorantly.
Yeah.
I was so judgmental of parents, not even purposefully. I just thought I knew best. And now that I have a kid, I'm like, oh, I'm all the way that person.
Yeah.
That I was like, you sleep in the bed with your baby? Fuck yeah. Yeah, she is 10 months old and I'm holding her. Holding her every time she sleeps. But like I said, I love it and it's what works for us and I never would have imagined it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I was a dumb, judgmental, ignorant person. If you right now are that dumb, judgmental, ignorant person, get it. Fine. That's great for you.
Right.
Like, ignorance is bliss. Keep living in that space if you need to, but also don't tell it to a parent's face.
Well, I think you can also, you are also entitled to your own opinions.
Yeah.
But
yes.
I've kind of felt as becoming a parent, I can think my own things, but I still have to hold space for other parents and what they decide to do.
Oh, definitely.
Like I said, as long as no one is like being harmed, they're safe, they're like relatively healthy.
Yeah.
It is not my place to like make a judgment or suggest something to a fellow parent if they don't ask for it.
No.
And I certainly don't know best.
Yeah. And what works for me may not work for your family situation, your parent situation, your kid situation. You know, there's a ton of factors of why you're doing things the way you're doing things and why I'm doing things the way I'm doing things. I think that communal bond of it's all hard and fucking scary and you don't know what you're doing all the time and you may have predicted and you knew what you're doing. You know, people have, it's like having a pregnancy and it just not going the way you thought it would, right? Or having traumatic birth. You have to pivot from the moment of conception basically all the time, constantly. And so locking yourself into these things and then judging people when they don't meet those needs or expectation, or judging yourself when you don't, is really hard.
Yeah.
But we're all just a big family of parents that don't know what the fuck they're doing. And if we could just appreciate that, we would get along so well.
We're all just doing the best with what we have.
Yeah, yeah.
And if I could just be approached by everyone, you know, who interacts with me that way, then that would be like wonderful.
I would love that. Yeah.
That's
if everyone just go, you're doing the best you can, I go, I certainly am.
Yeah.
Sometimes I look at my 10-month-old and I go, Mommy's doing the best she can.
Yep.
She's like, I'm a baby. And I'm like, you get it.
You get it.
You understand what I mean.
Yeah, so I think it's all normal. I think it's fun to like look back on the things we thought that we were going to do.
My dumb, ill-informed self.
And how radically different they are. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I hope that you could relate to something that we said, whether it's just the like sheer changing your mind, whether it makes you feel better that your kid doesn't eat a lollipop every time you go to the grocery store, or whether you've also seen Hamilton 500 times and you want to commiserate.
Mm-hmm. We're right there with you.
If your baby is sleeping in your crib, in your bed,
in your arms,
in a safe space,
hanging from, you know,
we want you to be a part of this.
Yeah, you're in it with us. You may not know, but we've invited you in.
Yes. And if you have something funny or poignant or significant that you said before that you've kind of like realized it's just shit I said that I did not do that you want to share with us, please email us. You can reach us at connect@momsinthewild.com. We'd love to hear from you. Maybe we'll share it on the pod with your permission. Do a little check-in. But yeah, I think that's it for this one.
That's it. We love you all.
Keep doing your best. Stay safe. It's a jungle out there.
Yeah.